Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday evening. We are live. And tonight, I just wanted to, do like a little live lesson on learning chords by ear, figuring out chords by ear. I'm using the piano personally, but you can use whatever instrument you want. You don't have to have your instrument to participate, but if you wanted to, that's cool. Culiferate, is that how you say it? Says music theory is worse than rocket science. Oh. Well, we're not going to be really using a whole lot of music theory. Just a little bit to navigate the instrument that you're on, but it's mostly about spacing and not about theory concepts. So you're safe. Hey, Beguile. Hey, J.E. Thanks for watching my latest video, by the way. Happy to see your comment. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Bob. Hey, Luca. Now, I was going to pick a song to figure out the chords live, but I thought maybe it'd be more fun to kind of poll all of y'all and see if there are any songs that you can agree on, or throw out a suggestion that might be a good one. And if not, I will pick something, but might be fun. Hello, Keddy. Hi. Hey, Elle. Nihility. Hello. Thanks for watching my video also. I just saw your comment about the audio being panned to the left. I'm sorry. Sometimes the software I'm using right now, sometimes it will just pan my voice and I don't know why. And sometimes restarting fixes it and sometimes it doesn't. And it'll just switch in the middle of recording and I won't know. So I'm sorry about that. Hope you got through it okay. Carlo, just found your channel. It's incredible. Oh, thanks. Thanks for coming. We're going to do some fun ear training tonight. Hey, Chris. Hey, no problem. Hey, Scott. Hello, Keddy likes my room. I like it too. I really need to have a space that feels chill so that I can feel chill. So I have a lot of energy. So this definitely makes me feel calmer to have plants around me. And there's a little bit of clutter that you can't see that's stressing me out. But right now I can just block it out and hang out with y'all. Bob says he's been learning manic depression by Jimmy. I think this is something close to A. Like Jimi Hendrix? Oh. Yeah, I'm also very easily distracted. Hello, Keddy. If you watch my videos, you see it happening live. Hendrix. I don't know if I know that one. So the reason I wanted to do this is because a lot of, when I pick things out by ear, which you guys see me do all the time in my videos, a lot of it is based on hearing chords, but even more so hearing intervals, which is the space between two notes. So chords are like three or more notes. And, as I've educated myself over the many years, hearing specific chords, just like as a whole, has gotten better and better and better. But hearing intervals has really come in handy. So while we kind of go through a song, listen to the chords, a lot of it's going to be about hearing intervallic relationships that then make up a whole chord, or hearing a part of a chord, which also has to do with intervals. And all of this is about hearing the relationships between notes. And I like that. I enjoy figuring out chord progressions more than melodies for that reason. And then my favorite thing, though, is figuring out how the melody sounds over the chord progression, because then you get even more harmony and more relationships, and it just gets so full and beautiful. So, Chris has a question. What would you say is the most common, universal, natural chord? If your hands land on the keys, what do you hear? Okay, so for me personally, no, because you said universal. I think C major would be the answer for the universal chord. Well, I can't say universal because this keyboard is based on Western tuning, a Western tuning system. So I can say in the West, I would say C major is probably the most natural chord because everyone uses C major as a way to demonstrate everything. And that reason is that's all the white keys. So it's a lot simpler to show what's going on and to play. That's not my most natural chord to land on. It's because it's the shape of my hand, but it's this. That chord. It could also be the minor version of it. Yeah. So I'm going to say an A minor seventh without the third. It's a fifth and then a minor third with a minor seventh around it. So this is... So that, two different answers to that question. Hey, my 45s. David Bowie, Let's Dance. Ooh, that could be fun. Those are some weird chords. I like that suggestion. That's actually great because just like chord, chord, a little echo, delay, then another chord. I like it. Coolest review says, I'm still impressed you figured out the perfect drug. Oh, yeah, there's some weird stuff going on in there. It took a while. Definitely took some time. I definitely thought you wrote The Perfect Rug. Apparently there's a company called The Perfect Rug, but they don't honor Trent Reznor, so. Sebastian says D minor, the saddest chord of all. Yeah, people say that. D minor, the saddest chord. I've never gone through all the chords and been like, does this minor chord sound sadder than this other minor chord just because it's higher or lower? That would be an interesting process. I don't have perfect pitch, so to me, like the sound of D minor and E minor is really not that different. In fact, if you played one of them and said, which one is it? I'd be like, I don't know. They sound just about the same. But then there's like this whole book from, what is like the 18th century, 17th century in Europe that's like every key has its own adjectives. D minor being the saddest. Did I make a Spinal Tap reference? Or did someone else? If I did, it was an accident. But you're welcome. Okay. YouTube keeps popping up this box that says, now would be a good time to insert an ad. What? I don't know. I can do ads. But I do want to say, so I have a super chat goal for the night of $100. And if I reach that goal, I will improvise on one of the songs that we figure out tonight. And so I'll just like play all little something, something. Hey, Space Jesus. Okay. All right. So someone mentioned Let's Dance. I think that's a great. Was that Bob? No. Who's it? Who said Let's Dance? My 45 suggested Let's Dance. All right. Let's do it. I grew up with my dad listening to David Bowie's Best Of record. My parents had a lot of like those best of records for some reason. Okay, hang Let me just pull her up. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to listen to a little bit of the song. And the first thing I'm listening for, well, I would say these are two things that I listened for kind of around the same time. So I'm listening for the quality of the chord, which would be something like major, minor, diminished, augmented. Those augmented especially is less common. I'll play you what those sound like. Or maybe I can hear, there are certain seventh chords I can hear, which are 4-note chords. Those are the chords that you hear more in, and in jazz. I'm oversimplifying, but maybe it's a ninth chord. Maybe it has a sixth. Maybe it's a sus chord. There are different qualities of chords that have to do with how the notes in the chord, how close they are to each other, basically. So, for example, a major chord, yes, and I'm hitting C major. A minor chord, a diminished chord, an augmented chord. That's the eyebrows going up chord. Maybe a major seventh chord or a dominant seventh chord, or I like to think of this as the sassy seventh chord, or a minor seventh chord. Love that one. And then there are others that get a little bit weirder, like say a half diminished chord. This chord. And then there are other chords like sus chords, sus 4, sus 2, an add 9 major, add 9 minor. So beautiful. 6 chord. Anyway, so that's what I mean by chord quality. So some of those I can pick out right away. Some I might have to go like, well, I hear this note and this note and this note, and then I can kind of figure out what I'm hearing. The other thing that helps me figure out what the chord is the root of the chord. And the root of the chord, gosh, I wish I could tell you it's the bottom note of the chord. Well, oftentimes it is the bottom note, but not always. So basically, let me do a little overhead thing for y'all using this here piano. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. So chords are just stacked intervals. Major chord is a major third and a minor third. You don't need to worry about that, but you see you skip a note, you skipped a key. I have no idea how this is played on guitar. Sorry. Minor, I would just move this third down a half step, which is just one note, one key. I guess when I said skip a key, I meant on just the white keys. Sorry for not specifying that. So I'm just going to slide down a half step, and now it's a minor chord. And this interval is now called a minor third. If I slide this top note down a half step from here to here, G to F sharp or G to G flat, now it's diminished. So they're just stackings of these intervals where you skip a note in the scale. And then there's some special chords like the sus chord I was playing, where as you can see, these notes are right next to each other, and then there's this big space here. This is called a fourth. I love that sound. Isn't that beautiful? But doesn't this sound completely different than this? This has tension. Tension, you could also say dissonance, a little bit of a clash, whereas this chord, the minor chord, sounds really harmonious. The major chord even more harmonious. Now, these three notes, C major, C, E, G, I don't have to play the chord like that. I could put the G down here. Ooh, nice. This is called an inversion. And I could do it again. I could put the E up down here, I mean. Oops, I knew I was going to fuck that up. So sometimes the bottom note of a chord you're hearing is not the actual bottom of the chord. It's just the note that happens to be played at the bottom of your instrument or whatever. So hearing the root of a chord is a skill in and of itself, where you might hear this, da, 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 but still you know that one is the root, even though it's in the middle, da, da, da. And that comes with practicing hearing the sound of the root versus the third versus the fifth. They all have a little bit of a different sound, but always in reference to the root. Because notes by themselves don't, it's all about those relationships. So I can hear that this is the root because this is the third, because that's what the third sounds like. So if you want to get better at this, by the way, if this is a skill you want to work on, I recommend humming. I know it might be weird and you might be self-conscious, but luckily humming is pretty quiet, so you can do it without really bothering anybody. Humming the notes that you're hearing in a song. Don't go to your instrument, do it with your voice, and I don't know the science behind this, but I just know that it works. It's so much more effective to make the sound. Think of the sound you're hearing, the note you're hearing, which is called audiation. Crazy that we can do that. We can just think about a sound or a tone or a pitch or a relationship and then produce it. So humming will really, really help. So I have a bunch of great references for you, actually, for practicing singing major and minor chords, especially because if you have major and minor chords down, you kind of got some good references and you don't necessarily need to go a whole lot further. It'll get you really far is what I'm saying. So check this out. So for a major chord starting on the root of the chord, C, E, G, is the Beatles' Obla Di Obla Da. Obla Di Obla Da, life goes on. Ah. That's also the root, but an octave higher. So that'll help. Da, 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 da. I haven't yet found a reference for the other inversions, like da 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 or da 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 for major chords yet. But if anyone knows them, feel free to throw that out there on the chat. But I've got a couple for minor. So that would be, oh wait, I might have one for major, an inversion. Da, 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 da. The top of the prelude in C. I forget what because so that's when the fifth is in the bass, the fifth of the chord. Does anyone need clarification on what I mean when I say third and fifth? Let me know. Hi J, one finally understood the root thing on a keyboard. I've heard that from a lot of people who have learned music on guitar, that it's really, really difficult to learn about intervals and any kind of music theory on a guitar because it's just it's non-linear layout, and you can play the same note in so many different ways. And I look at the fretboard and I'm like, yeah, I don't know how you that looks difficult. But on a piano, it's all linear and laid out, and each note has its own key, and it's a lot easier. So, okay, so you do want elaboration, no problem. Okay, let me go back to overhead, and then I'll make sure if I forget, remind me. I want to show you the references for the minor chords too. Okay, so let's take C major as a scale, and a scale is just a collection of notes going from low to high. You can also go from high to low afterwards, but the idea is that it starts down and goes all the way up to the same note that's an octave higher. So here's a C, and here's another C. And you can hear that they sound the same, but one's higher and lower. And that's some crazy acoustic trickery. This frequency is going twice as fast as this one. So our brain is able to tell that they have something very much in common, and it just sounds like the same note. It's crazy, huh? So between this key and this key, there are 7 distinct pitches, and we're just going to number them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we get back to 1. Or you could say 8 if you want. So if we number these notes, we can also use that same numbering system to label the parts of chords. So if I go C, E, G, I played 1, I skipped 2, I played 3, I skipped 4, and then I played 5. There we go. 1, 3, 5. And people will refer to this as the root because it's a bit more descriptive than the 1 of a chord. Root just kind of makes sense, right? Like the roots of a tree. This is the 3rd, and this is the 5th. And if I do play a chord like this, I would say this is the 4th. If I played a chord like this, I would say this is the 2nd, because it's 1, 2. If I play this chord, this is the 6th, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I can take this numbering system and I can apply it to any chord I play. So if I go down to A minor, I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, 5. 1, 4, 5. 1, 2, 5. Okay? So that's one of the things I think that's really confusing about music theory is that there's all these numbers rolling around, and understanding what number you're talking about is mostly context-based. Like, I guess, lots of languages that have, the same word to describe different things, but it can get really confusing, especially for brains like mine. Just so y'all know, I've struggled with music theory my whole life. I kind of can't believe I have a channel about it because this was never my strength. And the level of music theory I know, I would consider to be basic. It's nothing special, nothing magical. If you give me a crazy chord progression, be like, play it, I'll be like, just play it for me and I'll figure it out by ear. Thank you. Like if you just sent me the the lead sheet symbols, which is like E major 7 over G sharp, I'd be like, just play it. So I can certainly understand how challenging this is because it's still challenging for me. I have a friend who's going to be in my channel at some point. We already made a video. I just have to edit it. But Sam, they are so talented and they know so much more about theory. And Sam will be like, and then like a, E sharp 5, flat 9. And I'm just like, what? So anyway, I'm probably more one of you than you realize. Okay. So does that clear up what I mean when I say the 3rd and the 5th and the root? Let me know if you have any other questions about that. Okay. So back to the references for minor chords. So you can practice humming along to these chords to help yourself recognize the root. And you even might want to sing like 5th root 3rd, just to get the language to connect that sound in your brain. Okay, so a great reference for a minor chord that starts on the root, so like this, da, 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 is the sound of silence, the very beginning when he goes, hello, darkness, my old friend. Da, 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 da. Or some of the covers, I feel like they take out that kind of rhythm. They go, hello, darkness, my old. Either way, it goes right up a minor chord. Root, 3rd, 5th. And then Moonlight Sonata is my pick for the next type of inversion, which is with the 5th on the bottom, not the root on the bottom. And that would go... 5, fifth root third, fifth root third, da 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 da. And I'm still looking for the references for the last type of inversion for the major chord, which is da da da, and minor da da da. But I'm sure they're somewhere because major minor chords are so much a part of Western music. And so, you know, they are the basis of all of our chords, chord progressions, and also melodies like to go up and down them like a ladder, like a familiar ladder. It just sounds good to us. So I hope those will help you hum, 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 and it will really help. Okay, now that I've said all that, sorry, that took a while. Let's listen to Let's Dance by David Bowie, and I'll show you how I'm figuring out the chords. And what I'm going to listen for, is the root of the chord and the quality at the same time. Okay. But I'll separate the process for you. Let's dance. Yeah, these are some weird chords. Okay. Let me just double check. Okay. Oh my God, there's an official video. I haven't seen it. I can't show it to you because then this stream will get blocked. I've learned that the hard way. I forgot about this beginning. So he basically sampled the run up this chord from Twist and Shout, which the Beatles covered and made famous, but it's not by the Beatles. It's by the Isley Brothers. So this is actually an amazing reference, by the way, for learning what's called a dominant seventh chord, or I like to call the sassy seventh chord. Okay, so was it okay. It's major. This is also the chord that opens up Woolly Bully or Bully Bully. What are the words for that song? I should know this by now. Is it Bully? It is Woolly Bully. Woolly Bully. Sorry. But anyway, they separate it for you. So, I feel like a lot of people have been singing along to that all these years and didn't know. That's the sassy seventh chord. All right. So, how did I... Well, yeah, let's keep going. Okay. Oh, boy. All right. So these are chords that I could probably identify just by hearing them, but I'm going to show you what would happen if I didn't know what the chord was and I was just hearing these individual pitches and I had to figure out how to play it. So the first one. So there's a synth stab and lots of delay and stuff around it. So by the way, if you're ever wanting to do some ear training, just like I'm doing right now, if you're listening to a song where the quality of the chords, like the timbre of the instruments being used or the synths is distorted, like a heavily distorted electric guitar, or it has a lot of effects, that's going to make it harder to perceive the individual pitches. And it has to do with distortion and effects that can sort of cloud the fundamental pitch. So distortion creates extra harmonics This kind of wavery ding kind of effect is sort of, well, it's literally making the pitch kind of go up and down, right? So, sorry. So don't be hard on yourself if you pick a song like this and you're like, what? It's definitely harder. Piano, this is like a lot easier to hear. Acoustic guitar, maybe, not so bad. Okay, so let's see what notes we're hearing. Okay, so sometimes I'll listen for the bass line to kind of help me, but this bass line is walking down. However, the first note it plays might be a clue as to where the root of the chord is, but it also could be playing the third of the chord. Remember, we were talking about that? Or even the fifth of the chord, or even technically the seventh of the chord. We didn't go up that high, but I think you understand now how that all works. But I'm going to just see what it is. So I'm listening for the bass note. Does the note I heard? Listen again. Da, da, but it's an octave lower. Da. It's pretty quick, but the bass line goes dum, 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 dum. I think it goes down. And then dun, 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 dun. You hear that little, it's so cheeky. Dun, 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 dun. So that's the bass note we're hearing. Not sure yet if that's what part of the chord that the synths are playing it is. But we've got that piece of information. So I often find it's helpful to hum the bass line. That'll give you something. Now let's listen for the other notes. So one of the notes that's really standing out to me is this note. Da. Da. Hear that? Okay, so that might be the highest note. It's usually easier to hear the highest note of a chord than the middle ones. It's like a landscape. It's the contrast between the sky and the land, right? It's the top. So it's easier to hear. The stuff in between, it might be a little bit more difficult to understand, like what's going on, what's in front of what, etc. So I'm hearing da, and then the bass note is this. So right now we already have two of our notes. So I'm gonna, da, 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 da. I do hunt and peck to find the initial pitch because I don't have perfect pitch, but you can also use your voice as a way to get in the ballpark. So like the is a mid-low note in my range, and I'm not straining at all, and I'm singing in my chest voice very easily, which means it's probably somewhere between G and B. So you can learn how to use your muscles to get you in the general area, and then you can hunt and peck in there to find it. So it's B flat is the bass note, and then the high note that we heard was da. Now, this is where interval training can really come in handy. Da da is a perfect fourth. A good reference for this is At Last My Love Has Come Along. Or Star Wars. Dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so that's what we're hearing there. If you're following along those notes, we got B flat and we got E flat. Okay. Y'all following so far? Okay. I'm also hearing a third note up top. All right, so this note sounds like it's creating some dissonance with a nearby note. There we go. So what I'm playing now is a B flat, going up a fourth to E flat, and then I went up a whole step to F. I would say the most valuable things to learn to hear by ear: major and minor chords, and half steps and whole steps. There's more that I would recommend, but at the very least, that will get you so far. So a half step is 1 fret on a guitar. Whole step is 2 frets. On a piano, a half step is moving 1 key from black to white to white. There's no black keys next to each other. I just realized that. I've never ever thought of that. There's no black keys that are right next to each other, but we got 2 sets of white keys right next to each other. So it's just one key over, and then a whole step is when you skip one. Okay. Scales are made up of sequences of those little half steps and the bigger whole steps. Sometimes even bigger jumps, like a scale that goes. Sorry. That one had a couple big jumps in it. That was called double harmonic minor. I didn't know that scale existed until recently. It sounds super exotic to our Western ears. Well, no, not everyone on the stream may be Western, but I certainly am. All right, so now that we've got these notes, I'm going to listen. I'm going to play it at the same time and make sure it sounds like what I'm hearing. Sounds right to me. So this is what my ear picked out earlier as a suspension. Sometimes I won't be able to tell what type of suspension it is because there are two kinds, but knowing that it's one of them gives me a 50-50 chance of, getting it right. But if it goes da da da, usually that's going to be called a sus4. You don't need to know that. This is not about necessarily learning all the names of these chords because that's a whole other thing. It's more just about training your ear and then learning how to play it on your instrument. So I know spacing wise what a sus4 looks like and feels like. I get a big fourth here and then a second. Let me go to my overhead again. So this is what a perfect fourth looks like most of the time on a piano. If it's often between two black keys or two white keys. There are a couple exceptions. Where are they? It's somewhere in this area because it can't remember where it is. Here we go. Sorry. So this is an exception where there's and these two, I have to play a white and a black and a black and a white. But usually it looks like this. And then second, I just have to skip a note. There we go. Whole step. Sometimes it looks like black to white. Sometimes it looks like white to white. Sometimes it looks like black to black. So this is all, about your instrument. Okay, great. So that's our first chord. If I wanted to figure out what the chord's called, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, this is a B flat sus4. Was it? So the bass goes dun dun. Oh, sorry. I think it's kind of like way up there though, because it's very strident sounding, isn't it? All right, that's our first chord. Let's listen for our second chord. All right, so my ear detects that this is a chord that has something funky going on in it, which usually means it has a tritone. And a tritone is an interval that is considered to be pretty much the most dissonant interval there is for Westerners. Again, that's sort of the asterisk next to all of these things I'm saying. Here's what tritone looks like. Let's do this one. Okay. Listen to that sound. It's pretty dissonant, isn't it? They can be very beautiful. They can be very funky, but they're strong. It's a strong sound, and your ear is picking up on how mathematically complex the relationship between those two notes is. Versus a perfect fifth, which sounds like this. It sounds really simple in some ways to our ear. It just makes sense. You could say it's stable sounding, like it doesn't feel like it has to move anywhere. This is the basis of power chords. It's a really strong sound. It's like a box, a really strong box. But then someone makes a box and they maybe don't make it as well, and it starts to kind of like one side kind of caves in a bit and the stuff in the box is like kind of falling out. And you get the tritone, which is just a half step smaller than the perfect fifth. So you go from like very stable to very unstable really quickly. So I think there's a tritone in that chord. It also has a sound to me that feels a bit closed in, like maybe the notes are kind of close together. So my guess is that's a diminished chord, which sounds like this. But I could be wrong. Let's see. Dun, 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 I hear that note, and I hear that note. What are we in? We're in B flat. Okay, so I'm hearing, so you see I'm humming, right? Dun, 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 hear that note. I hear that note as well. Something about it feels funky, but at the same time, it also kind of sounds like it could be just a minor chord. Dun, 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 dun. Why does it sound so funky? It could be the wavering that's throwing me a little. I don't know. So, it could just be a minor chord, but it sounds really weird. There's definitely some weird note in there, and it might, so I'm recognizing there's a synth that sounds really and then there's a more jabby one, and they might be playing they might be overlapping but playing different notes. So I think there might be 4 notes in this chord. Let's see. Da is another note I'm hearing. Listen. Da, da, da. It's in the stabby part, not the weow part. Da, da, da. Okay, so I definitely hear that. Da. All right, so now I'm going to use my ear training to help me figure out what that is. Well, this is 1, this is 5. References for the 5th, by the way. 2001 Space Odyssey. Da, 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 da. Or The Wizard of Oz. Ooh-ee-oh, wee-oh. Or Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star is a popular one. Twinkle, twinkle. Or if you know Nine Inch Nails. It's those first 2 notes of Something I Can Never Have piano theme. Or Wicked Games chorus. No, I don't want to fall in love. I love that song by Chris Isaak. No, Okay. So I can hear it's a whole step above that 5th. A half step is like that. A half step is like a little teeter-totter to me. It's like very like, it's like, I don't know. But a whole step is so much bigger. All right, so that note's in there. So it could be that chord. It might be, in which case it's not a diminished chord. Oh, actually it could be. Now here's something funny about music. Because you can rearrange the notes in a chord however you want, there are some moments where chords with the same notes are called 2 different things. So this chord, you could say, well, it's a minor chord with a major 6th added to it. And the major is because it comes from the major scale. I won't go into that at the moment, but if I put the G, sorry, down here, I wish you could, okay, here we go. Wow. Okay. So now I have a 3rd, another 3rd, and another 3rd. So this now has the shape of a chord that is diminished, half diminished, half diminished. Half diminished chord is a minor 3rd, another minor 3rd, and then a major 3rd stacked. So you just stack them up. So I wasn't necessarily wrong in hearing a tritone because the distance between Why is... Oh, okay, sorry. I didn't realize this was shaking so much. Distance between this note and this note is a tritone. So whether or not it's like this or like this, my ear was picking up on this sound. Does that make sense? So you can train your ear to, again, like hear certain intervals, which will get you closer to the end result. I'm not super worried right now. So, the other thing I was going to mention is when I first try to figure something out, I'm not necessarily worrying about how the chord is voiced. And voicing refers to how you arrange the notes in a chord. So just like I was saying, okay, if I play C major with the root on the bottom, it's like this. If I play it with the fifth on the bottom, it's like this. Third, those are different chord voicings. But I could also do things like, I'm going to take C, E, G and go C, G, E. This is not an inversion because C is still on the bottom, but it's all spread out now. I put the E all the way up here. So this is a different chord voicing, a spread chord voicing. So the particular way that a chord is voiced is something that I worry about after I figure out the basic chord quality. And I will usually figure it out in root position, which is when the root's on the bottom. So doing this, it was really helpful to me to put the G down here so that it's like the G is on the bottom and now I have a third and a third and a third, which is how chords are stacked versus with this crowded situation here. Although I do like how that sounds so much more. All right, so that's our first chord is and then something like that. But it's probably voiced this way. But I don't have to worry about that just yet. I'm just getting an idea. All right. Hanging in there? Brian asks, so it could also be a third. What were you responding to there? Oh, some of you may not know I nicknamed tritones Trent tones because this is an interval that Trent Reznor seems to favor in his music. He uses them a lot more than most people do. So and Brian, Brian, you were asking about the tritone. That's what, so it could be a third. Okay. So yeah, the reason it's called tritone, I didn't know this for the longest time. Sorry about that. Is because there are 3 different names for this distance and this distance. Half step, whole step is what I use. But some people say semitone and tone. And then I think there's a third one. You could also use interval names like minor second, major second. But anyway, so if you say tone with this in mind, a tone could mean a whole step. So if you go from C up 1 tone, up 2 tones, and then up 3 tones, tritone. 3 whole tones up. So that's what Benjamin was saying. So tritone's not a third. It's its own interval. So a third, here's a third. Minor third, which is 3 semitones up, or 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. Major third is 4. You go up 1 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tritone is, what is it, 5 semitones? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 semitones. Sorry, of course. 6 semitones are 3 whole tones. Yeah. There we go. Oops. Just rolling the world all over the place. Okay. Let's see what the next chord is. We got 2 chords down, so I think it's, yeah. I'll play it up here. And then, okay. Ooh, I like this chord. All right, I think this chord sounds to me like it has 4 notes in it. It doesn't sound like a major or minor chord. It sounds like it has an additional note. And it could be either a 6th or a 7th. Sometimes they sound similar. And in fact, some 6th chords and 7th chords are the same, but just inversions of each other. So that's like when you reorganize the notes the way I have been. I know, it's crazy. Music theory is so crazy. Okay. So, but what I'm hearing, the intervals, okay, so. So there are the notes I'm hearing is da 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 da. Listen. Da, 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 da. Listen, okay, so pay attention to the loudest note, which I think is da on the top. Da da. Da. Do you hear that one? Now we could figure this out in so many different ways. We can look at the relationships between each note we're hearing. We could also go back to the chord we had before and see if any of the notes from the previous chord carried over into this one, or we could see how far apart they are from each other. That's another way you can do it. Da, 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 da. So the top note went down to there. That's a whole step. See, that's that whole step ear training that really, really helps. Because from wherever you are, oftentimes there's going to be a whole step or a half step jump or step. It's not a jump that you need to make. So, hear that note? Now, you might be tempted to, the loudest note that you hear is probably not, like I said, the root of the chord or even the bottom note. It's probably the top note. And the top note could be the root sometimes, but it's probably more likely that it's not. So we got to kind of go down the ladder and see what's underneath. So let's see if we can hear the note that's underneath that one. Da, is that note there? Da, 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 da. Do I hear this note? Or am I making it up? I'm not sure it's in there. The other thing about chords, sometimes someone will play a chord and they will leave a note out because you don't always need all of them. So sometimes your mind will fill in the missing note because it's so used to hearing the chord fully expressed. So that might be happening to me right now. Okay, well, let's see what other note I'm hearing. Okay, so I'm hearing this note, and you can hear the bass doing it too. So down an octave. Listen. Do you hear that? Okay. So we have and we have Okay. This interval is a sixth. Sixths are not commonly found in melodies as much as the other ones, but there's a great reference from a very popular song for a major sixth, which is Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Way up, high, way up. So those are the two notes we're hearing. Listen. Da, 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 da. Okay. So the bottom note and the top note, the distance between them is a major sixth. Okay, great. So I could assume that this is a chord that's major or minor, and then it has a sixth added on top of it. We'll see. So if I go find this note, see, that was one. Okay, so from there, I'm going to use my interval training to go down, da, da. So that's called a major third. Da, da. References that go down a major third are Phantom of the Opera. Literally goes down by step. It's really, really handy. Da, 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 da. Okay. So that's the bass note I'm hearing. And then we heard da, which is the sixth above. So I'm going to go up a perfect fifth and the whole step. Da, da, da. Ta-da! Great. Okay. Now what I could try, here's what I would do next. I'm getting kind of like major chord with a sixth added feelings, because major chords have a warmth to them that the minor chords usually don't, at least when I hear them. So I'm kind of relying on intuition here. I'm thinking if I just go ahead and play a major chord that starts on that bass note and then add that sixth on top, I might end up with my result. So I'm going to go da, da, da. Let's see. That could be it. I think so. I think we got it. It's possible they're not playing every single note in here. Like, could be that they're not playing this note. I feel like I hear it though. Anybody want to check my work? Hey, Rodrigo. Yep, I'm just showing you some different ways to pick out chords by ear quickly. Okay. So I think it's this one. It's possible that I'm hearing a note that's not there, which is the fifth of the chord. And the fifth of the chord is sometimes a note that's more implied than played, because most chords have that fifth in them. It's just one of the ways music theory in the West works, or music in the West works. So it's possible it's just going. But my ear is picking up on a dissonance that's not present in this chord, which is just a minor chord. I think I'm hearing. Hear the difference? That second one has some clash. It's nice. It's a good clash, right? So I feel like I hear that when I hear this chord play in the song. So that's my final answer. And this would be a G flat 6 chord. So let's recap. We have B flat sus4. Then we have that chord, which has two different names. We could say G half diminished. I don't know what this is called though. A major chord with a minor 6 on it. I don't know if it has a name, honestly. But they put this note on the top, not like this. Okay, and then we have our G flat 6 chord. Okay, and then the last one. All right. By the way, I want to mention that it's only been recently that I've actually started putting names to any of these things. I would just figure stuff out by ear, and putting names to it can help, I think, at least for my brain type, whatever that is. It can help differentiate the sounds I'm hearing from each other. It can help me get more adept at playing my instrument. But at the same time, it's not doing a whole lot. It's mostly just an after the fact thing. And also this way, if someone's like, what are the chords for this song? I could be like, well, here they are. And then they could figure it out quicker if they know how chords are constructed. If they don't know how chords are constructed, then it's more helpful for me to give you individual note names, right? Or fret positions, although I couldn't do that. I should learn the guitar, don't you think? I think that would be really interesting. I'm afraid for my finger pads, though. All right. So last chord. Okay, so I'm hearing strongly what's called a minor chord, but there might be another note in there, again, creating a little tension. First, let's figure out the minor chord. Da sounds like the root of the chord. Now listen to how harmonious that sounds with the chord playing. Da, that's the bottom. It's not da, listen. Da. That's just another note in the chord. And then the top note. You hear those? Da da da. Da da da. Da da da. Hello darkness, my old. I think there might be a fourth note, but let's figure out what this minor chord is on the piano first. So da is the bottom note, and okay, all right, B flat again. So da, da, da. So it sounds like the B flat is a common tone in all the chords. All of them have the B flat on the bottom, I believe. So. Oh, no, sorry. My bad. I forgot about this one. Although, it's possible they did voice it with the B flat on the bottom. I haven't figured that out yet. But there's a B flat in all of them. And then B flat minor. I'm just wondering if there's a seventh. So I'm going to listen for it because I thought I heard a clash. I thought I heard a little clash. It's really weird having two instruments that you think are playing the same thing, but I think sometimes they aren't. The jabby one's more on the left, so I'm going to do this. Wait. I don't know. If there were a dissonant note, I think it would be a seventh, and that would sound like this. I don't think that's what. I don't think it's there. Da, da, da. It's hard to tell. Okay, I'm going to just go with minor. But I'm a little uncertain because I feel, again, it could be the wavering that's throwing me a little bit, but there's just something about that doesn't feel completely like the purity of a minor chord or the, purity of a major chord. They have this very simple sound to them. No dissonance. Whereas like that has dissonance. That has dissonance. That has dissonance. That has dissonance. There's just something rubbing a little bit, but again, it could just be the production. Could also possibly be that I'm picking up on some of the clashing going on with the bass. So I think the bass goes dun dun or dun 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 dun. Hang on. Oh, fuck. Dun 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 dun. It could be that. This could be that. So the bass note, when it gets to that note, then we're going to hear a tritone ring out. So it could be that my brain's like, but there's something. But the bass is doing something where it's just kind of walking down. I wouldn't consider that to be every step it goes down to be a new chord. Does that make sense? The first one sounds more like the chord to me, and then there's just like this little walk it does. But there's so many different ways you can interpret the same thing. Hey Secret, hey Xana. Yes, I did, Derek. I did bust into Simon and Garfunkel. Sound of Silence is a great ear training reference for a minor chord starting on the root. Hello darkness, my old da da da. Da, 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 da. Ben Bamboo asks, would it help to play tracks back at a slower speed with tools like Audacity so the pitch doesn't change or distort when trying to figure out a song by ear? I have done that before, actually. If something's happening really fast, I have slowed it down. I did that for a couple tracks in my series on the Downward Spiral, especially because I had some isolated tracks from the surround sound mix. So that definitely helped. Like the bass line of Closer, I slowed that shit down like to 30% because there's so many weird things going on there. Still didn't give me all the answers, but it can help. Hello, Matt. Okay. Alex is asking, is this a blues scale? Well, so that's a great question. If we were to figure out, okay, given these chords, and we should listen to his vocal melody, what key is this in? What scale is it using? We could do that real quick.
Put on your red shoes and dance the blues. Dance to the song they're playing on the radio.
On first listen, it doesn't sound like a blues scale to me, but I'm not sure. It sounds more his melody. Let's dance. Da, 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 da. I mean, he is saying about dancing the blues, isn't he? But he's singing in the minor pentatonic scale, which the blues is very similar to. Very, very similar. There's only one note that's different. Minor blues, I should say. There's different blues scales, but minor would be, excuse me, or minor pentatonic is up a minor third, whole step, minor third, up, do, 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 do. Whereas blues adds a tritone in the middle. Da, 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 da. So, sorry, not this one, it's this one. Da, 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 so it would be the, like, in order to sound bluesy, we really need to hear this note. Let's see. So this note doesn't belong in blues, minor blues, minor pentatonic, or the minor scale, which is probably why it sounds so fun. In minor pentatonic and minor blues, there wouldn't be this note at all. But in minor scale, we would have a G flat. But we have a G, so it's coloring outside the lines. It's pretty fun. I think it's really great. But then this chord kind of negates what we just heard with the because we had a G up here and then we play this chord which has a G flat. So there's a nice mixture of sounds here, and I don't think it really adheres to a scale, but if I had to pick one scale for the verse at least, I would say yeah, minor. The thing about scales is, like, again, they're just a tool. I find them helpful for improvising. I find them helpful for starting a song. Like if I have an idea and I have a certain mood I want to convey, I kind of have some ideas of what scales evoke certain feelings. But a lot of the time, music just comes out. It comes from here, and it's not going to adhere to one scale. And you can do that. There's no rule that says you can't go outside of a scale. Scale is just a handy tool of collection of notes, and all of Western music theory is built on that idea of these 7-note scales. But it's not universal by any means, and I don't think it really reflects a lot of the music that's being made. It reflects the music that was being made in a certain part of the world at a certain time period a long time ago. So still, that's what I was taught. And so sometimes I approach music that was written from a different framework through that lens. And sometimes it works and sometimes it just doesn't fit. So this is kind of one of those. But that's a good question. And then the chorus, let's figure out the chords for the chorus, okay? Because it kind of changes things up a bit.
Wow. Wild color lights up your face. Let's sway. Sway through the crowd to an empty space. If you say run, I'll run with you.
All right, so this is a bit easier to hear. For one, we've got I think it's a piano playing, which is very clear sounding. Nice defined notes with a strong attack. Excuse me. And I don't hear a whole lot of funny business, meaning I'm pretty sure we're just going to hear some nice major chords. I think they might even all be with the root on the bottom, which is the most basic way to voice a chord. So I'm going to sing you the roots of the chords I'm hearing. Listen.
To an empty space. If you say run, I'll run with you. If you say hide, we'll hide. All my love for you would break my heart in two. If you should fall into my arms, tremble like a flower.
I love the second time he sings Tremble Like a Flower. It's like he loses his grip. It's so great. Flower. It's so Bowie. All right. So I'm hearing some pop progressions. That's another thing is you can train your ear to hear progressions. You can be like, oh yeah, it's a 1 4 6 5 or whatever. And that's it's a different lesson, but that's when you hear people going like 1 1 4 6 5. Or if you see me putting the Roman numerals on the screen, that's a way of basically saying like the position of this chord in the scale and giving it a Roman numeral just so that it's not a regular numeral, which we use for a million other things in music theory. It took me a little while to figure out all the Roman numerals, and there's still some ways of writing them that I don't understand. Like if the chord's not major or minor, if it's got sevenths on it, I still don't know exactly how you write all that stuff. So don't sweat it. You just need the basics. All right. So.
Wild color lights up your face.
It's too far back.
If you say run.
All right, let's listen to this chord. So again, he's singing over it, but this is the note I'm hearing most strongly.
If you say run.
But I'm also hearing this note.
If you say run.
And I'm also hearing this note.
If you say run.
You hear those? One more time.
If you say run.
And he's singing that note too, right? So this, you can kind of hear maybe that there's no notes that are like right next to each other in what I'm singing. I'm not going I'm not going or something, you know, they're all very they're almost like evenly spaced. It's like climbing that ladder. Okay. And this ladder is a major ladder. Oh blah dee, oh blah da, right? Not hello darkness. That's so perfect because the darkness lyric is on the minor third of the chord, which is what makes it minor and makes it sound dark. Hello darkness, oh blah dee. Okay, so I think that it's that major chord. So now all I have to do is find where this note is, and then we just build a major chord on top of that. So I think it went down a whole step from the previous chord. So let's double check. That's the root of that chord. You're gonna hear the bass go dum 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 dum. Right, and it's the minor chord. Da 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 da. Hello darkness, mild. Da. Okay, so. Da. Hear that? Da da. That's a whole step or a tone, not da da na 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 na. That's a half step. But it's also not a third. That's a jump. Right in between. Okay, so we got a whole step down. So we went from B flat, we're going to go down a whole step to A flat and build a major chord, which is a major third and a minor third. And by the way, a lot of times when I'm playing chords, in the moment, I'm not thinking major third, minor third, blah, 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 blah. I'm relying on muscle memory. Just like when you play guitar, right? You've got positions for different chords. I got those for piano too. And I'm just looking at the spacing on the keyboard. I'm not thinking intervals. I have muscle memory just like a guitarist, and my hand will just go there. If I think A major, A flat major, that's just what it looks like. That's what it feels like. And some chords have better muscle memory than others. So we got okay. So you can hear very clearly, da, 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 da. All right, now, because I've done this for such a long time, I can hear that that is a 4 chord to a 5 chord. And that means that those chords are starting on the 4th of the scale and the 5th of the scale. Remember those numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? But let's say I didn't know that. How would I figure out what I'm hearing? Well, I would try to figure out the distance between the last note I played and the root of the next chord. So we went da, da, then I went da, 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 da. Okay, so going down. Now here's a fun little thing. If you go down from a reference point, the distance is going to be an inverse of the distance if you went from the reference point upward. So if I go da, da, go up, that's a perfect 4th. But if I go down, it's actually a perfect 5th. One of those kind of weird but sort of magical things about this tuning system we have. So I know if I go down a 5th, I'm going to get to the 4th of a scale. Is that stupid or what? So, but even I don't even have to know that. I just have to know. I mean, I guess knowing the interval helps me find it on my instrument quickly. That's really it, right? You could hunt and peck and find it. That's fine, but it just takes longer. So this way I can just go, oh yeah, I know. Because the da, 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 da sounds like a whole step. So I know I can just play a major chord and then go up a whole step and play another major chord and then go back and forth between them. So let's check what we've got.
If you say run, I'll run with you. If you say hide, we'll hide.
Now actually, it's a little different here and I love this. Listen to the bass.
We'll hide.
So this is something called a pedal point, and that's why this second time around, there's a little bit of tension. There's a little bit of clashing, and it's really nice clashing. And it's because the bass, which before was going da, 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 da. Now listen to what it's doing. Is it moving at all?
We'll hide.
It's not moving. It's just going da, 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 da. Listen again. But the voices are singing the chords just like before. So that would sound like sorry, do this lower. I love that sound. It's very like 70s. I feel like they did a lot of that. Like the bass would just hold down what's called a pedal point, which comes after, I think that was named after like how organists have a pedal and they'll put down a pedal for like dum, and then they'll do over that like a drone. So essentially kind of what it is. It's like a drone. So. And then we're going to get because my love for you would break my heart in two. Okay, so the chords change here. That sounds like the first one we started with. If you say that, right. It kind of completes a cycle, right? You got like this is called the home chord. It's like the place where everything wants to return to, starts at. It's, it's homey. It feels like that's where you're trying to get to ultimately. So. Feel that like relief when you get there? If you say right, I'll hide. Because. And that, my friends, is called a cadence, which is usually like a 2 or 3 chord progression that ends with the home chord. And the other chords kind of point you back to your home chord. They're helping. They're an assist. They create like a narrative that leads you away, but then you come home again, and it's very satisfying, and it makes things feel complete. That's kind of how a lot of songs, especially in the classical era, would end, right? They go, the end, right? So he's kind of doing this on a more smaller scale. That's how most progressions work. I'll hide because my love for you. Now this next chord, I'm going to listen to it. I think it's a minor chord. I think it's the 6th chord, which is the next chord in many pop progressions. The one that comes to mind right now, this isn't a pop song, but, well, I guess it was. I don't even know what the first version of it was, but Heart and Soul. Didn't we all play Heart and Soul on the piano when we were kids? Right? 1, 6, 5, 4. So I think that's what he's doing. Because my love for you would break my heart in two. If you should fall into my arms like a flower. But let's make sure. Do you hear the duh? The bass goes duh. Listen again. Duh. Because it goes like dum, dum. Okay, da, 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 da. And that sounds like a third to me. So you can figure it out on your instrument by going, okay, I did a little jump, da da. It's not a step. It's not a step. It's a jump, but it's not very big. All these intervals have like different characteristics to them, but sometimes the best way to tell them apart is how far apart do they sound, because some intervals are very close and some are very far apart. Is a minor 7, then it's big. In fact, if you try to sing it, you'll hear that your voice has to go into a different register. That's how big it is. But if you go you barely have to do anything, right? It's like super close by. So sometimes the distance will get you halfway there. You're like, okay, it's a small interval, but I do jump. So it's probably a third. We could try nearby notes. We could, be like, okay. No, it's not that. It's this. But it's also not. Nope. There it is. Now we can listen to the quality of the chord. Is it major? Is it minor? Is it something else? So I hear this note. I also hear this note. Listen. And then I hear that note at the top, but I think I also hear this one. Yep. Da da da. Hello, darkness, smile. Minor chord. So, that's my love for you. And a fun little trick, if you're playing the piano for figuring out certain chords, if you play this pop progression, no matter what key you played in, the chord that starts on this is called the tonal center. So if we're in the key of A flat is the tonal center, and that's the 1 in the scale, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, 7, 1. 1. If I play this major chord, and then I play the 6th chord, which is the next chord in this pop progression. Okay. This chord shares 2 notes with the previous chord. So that's a really nice, handy thing for me when I'm playing in a key I'm not familiar with. As long as I find this chord, I can figure out all the rest pretty quickly, because I'm going to move the bottom note down a third to this one, but then I could keep these notes where they were. So I'm going to change my fingers though, or I could do this. Not even have to change my fingers. So that's nice. That's just easy. And the next one is similar, where I'm going to move this note down a major third. Here, it looks big, but it's just because I'm having to span this weird two white keys next to each other situation. I say it's weird, but it's actually very helpful, because without it, we would not know where we were on the piano. And it just wouldn't work this way. It has to be this way. But I can do the same thing I just did last time. See, these 2 notes, the bottom and the second one, stay the same. So that's really handy. And then the last one, all I have to do is go up a whole step and then go back home. So those are the chords in Let's Dance. Now I want to hear from you guys. How do you feel when you try to figure... Sorry, did the chat just... or did the live stream just freeze? My bad. I don't know. Was it for a long time? Do I need to repeat what I said, or? Oh, thanks, Elle. Appreciate it. Yeah, I am doing a $100 super chat goal tonight. If I get there, then I will figure out a song of y'all's choice by ear and improvise on it. Help support me if you can, but no pressure. You don't have to. I'm doing this, because I want to help. But oh no. Okay, so on my end, it's hanging, but it sounds like it's not doing that for you guys. So, all right, great. So I want to hear from you. What I just did, how far along do you feel like you are in your ear training journey, so to speak? Can you recognize the sound of a major and minor chord? Can you recognize the difference between a consonant interval, meaning it sounds very harmonious like this, versus like a tritone, which is very dissonant, or like versus... When you figure things out by ear, what are some of the obstacles that you face? What are some places where you get kind of hung up? Do you find yourself hunting and pecking a lot on your instrument? And if you do, by the way, that's fine. It just takes a little longer, right? So whatever works for you. Some people aren't satisfied with the hunting and pecking method and just want some, shortcuts essentially. Okay. Matt says major minor is easy. Great. Well, that will get you so far, because you can use those as references for all the other chords, which is really great. Chris went to college for music and got a BA in it. Oh, cool. 25 years ago, and then my ears went haywire, starting over. Did you just lack of practice, I guess? Use it, you lose it? Well, you can definitely get it back. Nothing wrong with starting over. Sometimes it's good to wipe the slate clean, right? Bob says gauging intervals still gets you messed up. Okay. What about chords? Is it like if you hear a chord, you can kind of tell what's going on, but if you just isolate 2 notes, it's you don't have as much information. It can be a little bit weird. Chris says, I hunt and peck and confuse fifths with octaves. Oh, yeah, that's actually a really interesting topic. So you are not the only one who confuses fifths and octaves. And there is a scientific reason for this. I'm not a scientist, but from the books I've read and my personal anecdotal experience, the science behind it has to do with acoustics and overtones. So does everybody know what the Overtone series is? If you don't, I'm going to drop an Andrew Wong video in the chat. You should definitely check it out. There's a lot of videos about it, but I just think the way he explains it really works well. And he's an awesome producer, makes great content. Overtone. Okay. All right. I'm just grabbing that link. But essentially, Overtone series, which I just think is so fascinating. Every time you hear a note from a source that's not a pure sine wave, like from an oscilloscope, there's more than one wave happening in any other situation. So if I play this, there's more than one wave. It's not just one note, technically. There are multiple notes that you're hearing that are making up the timbre of the piano, even this digital one. You know, if I, even that, dun, 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 there's multiple notes. I don't have any, oh wait. The hammer, I forget where the hammer is, but. Okay. Oh, by the way, this is called a cantilon. It's from Bowie. Sorry. Oh, that sounds like Edvard Grieg morning. What's it called? Da, 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 da. See how distractible I am? Okay, anyway. So even this, there are multiple notes that are multiple waveforms coming out. Okay. And they are the overtones. There is a set relationship between the other tones that come out in any sound we hear. And it has to, usually they're measured in ratios, which can get a little confusing for my non-math brain, but I can understand like something goes twice as fast or 3 times as fast. That makes sense to me. So if I play C and then I play this C, okay, they have a 2-to-1 relationship. This C is vibrating faster, twice as fast, as the low C. And then this one's vibrating twice as fast as the middle C, and et cetera, et cetera. A fifth is 3 times as fast, is a 3-to-2 relationship. So it's 3 times, this is where my math brain or my non-math brain breaks down. If it's a 3-to-2, it's 3 times faster than this one. My point is, there is an intervallic relationship between the fundamental frequency and this note. And that's a perfect fifth, essentially. Almost perfect. Slightly different than our Western tuning, but I can't speak to that subject. There are videos about it that are great. And so when you hear this very quietly, you are hearing that note too. It's just not obvious. So if I do this, you can like almost hear it. It's there. So an octave and a fifth, the brain can confuse them because there is a fifth secretly hiding in an octave. So, isn't that cool? I hope I got this all correct. If I didn't, please correct me. I am not pretending to be like an expert at this, but this is what I have come to understand. Anyway, I think using songs will help bridge that gap. So if you find a reference for an octave like somewhere over the Which the only thing that's crappy about that is that singing an octave is not easy for everybody. And depending on where you start, you may not be able to go an octave higher from wherever you started, right? If you're like, somewhere. So you have to be careful about where you start. But that can help you differentiate between something like a fifth and an octave. Or you can find a reference like for a fifth, like the 2001 Space Odyssey or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Or Twinkle Twinkle, or Oh we oh from Wizard of Oz. Or there's probably lots of other songs because a perfect fifth is very popular. So yeah, that might help you. And then eventually you probably won't need to use your references, but there's nothing wrong with using references. I still use references because there's a few intervals that I get mixed up. I get fourths and fifths mixed up all the time. They both live in the same category for me. So, and major sixths and minor sixths, it depends on the context, but I can get those mixed up too. So I'll usually use though like a fifth as a reference because a fifth I can get to more easily, and then I can figure out how far away is the sixth I'm hearing from being a fifth. Is it a half step or a whole step, etc. See, there's those half steps and whole steps. Okay. Alex says that's why I can't learn. Why can't? What is the reason? And I bet you can. Matt says visually it helped me a lot to watch those resonance videos on YouTube where you can actually see the frequencies of the sound. I agree. Yeah. Seeing it represented graphically is really helpful. Or even watching a string. Like you can watch a guitar string. If the shutter speed is just right, you can actually see the string like doing this. It's so crazy. Simpsons tritone is my go-to, says Chris. Yeah, that's such a great reference for the tritone. The Simpsons. Da, 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 da. Also, Maria. I once knew a girl named Maria from West Side Story. First notes of For No One by the Beatles. For No One. For No One. I know the song, but I can't think of it at the moment. Okay. Abadana says, I have a hard time recognizing major thirds. I know it's part of the major chord, which is supposed to be happy. But this interval doesn't sound happy, which misleads me always. That's a good point. I do this too. I'll assign like emotions and colors and qualities to chords, and not everybody hears it that way. So if it doesn't sound happy to you, then don't rely on that adjective to help you. See if there's another feeling you get from it. I had a student tell me that he gets this feeling like in his like around his teeth or something when he hears a certain interval. And I was like, use that, like whatever, whatever. Maybe it's a color. I use color sometimes. Or like I said, a specific song that you know really well that has a prominent major third is the beginning of its melody. So if you know Obla Di Obla Da at all, then that one is pretty reliable. Obla, Obla Di, Obla, Obla. I got some Nine Inch Nails references, like That's so weird out of context. That's from The Day the World Went Away. I listen to the words you say. Da 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 da. Or I may suggest, Abadabba, did I say that right? That you don't necessarily need to know how to hear the major third. If you have the minor third down, you can learn the distance between the minor third and the major third, which is just a semitone. So one way to practice that is 2001 Space Odyssey. You have to start kind of low, though, to get the whole thing. But it goes, let's see, we're going to go from da, 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 da. So that goes major third, minor third, da, 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 da. And then the second time around, it goes the other way. It goes from the minor to the major. Da, 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 da. Like ta-da. So maybe try something like that and see if that helps you. And interval vids. Yes. I was going to do a whole video and even like a designed like piece of collateral I could give to people of all these references, but only from Nine Inch Nails songs. And it was going to be called an interval guide. But I've decided it's a futile task. There are some great ones, but there are some intervals I can't find any good references. Like I can find them, but they're not good. You know, they're not helpful. They're not memorable. They're like in the middle of a phrase, or they're in a place in the scale that's not helpful, or they're in an instrument that's not easy to hear. And it's so I've abandoned that idea. I love the idea, but I mean, I might do an interval guide, but it's not going to be all the intervals. It'll just be like some of them and some chords and some scales, right? But I would like to, I think it'll probably take another year, honestly, to collect all the data, but I'd like to make a video of like, here are all these interval references. Here are all these chord references. Tetrachords are like this. Or it's like 4 notes up and down that can help you figure out like the beginning of a scale and scales and stuff. But I think I'm going to pull from lots of different sources to do that. One of my students said you should call it ear training references for people depressed in the 90s. It's going to be like Tears for Fears, Soundgarden, Danny Elfman, Rage Against the Machine, Nine Inch Nails, Depeche Mode, and like Metro Counter Call. Hey, Ixie, I know it's a different topic, but how would you use the 6th in a song context? The 6th. So do you mean, so there's a few different things that could mean. So I'm going to play a few different ones, and then I want you to respond to me and tell me which one you meant. So the 6th of a scale would be like if I'm playing in C major, let's say. That note is the 6th. I could also play that note in a minor scale. It just would be what's called a borrowed color. It's like it doesn't belong, but I can do whatever I want. Which is in the David Bowie song, right? Or do you mean the 6th chord, which is the 6 refers to the starting position of the chord, so the root of it. So like if I play C major chord and then I play A minor, that's called the 6th chord. Now, there could be a chance that you're thinking of the flat 6, in which case, boy, oh boy, I've got 2 videos for you. Flat 6 is a half step lower than that. So that's X-Files. That note or the flat 6 chord. You could also possibly mean a 6th chord, not the 6th chord, but a 6th chord, which is this. So, yeah, let me know which one you meant, or maybe you meant all of them. Okay. Yes, Matt, that is in Teardrop. Totally. Yeah. It's in A major. A. Well, it's in A, key of A. Wait. Teardrop on that chord. And then it goes. It ends on the flat 6. It's my favorite. Yes. Okay. All right, just an update on our goal, the super chat goal. We're at $51.98, so we're halfway there. Once we get to 100, I will pick out a song by ear, hopefully one I already know a little bit, and improvise on it for y'all. And if we don't make it, it's okay. I'm going to come back. I'm going to try to come back every week. Yeah. Or the house theme. Yeah, Clore says it's the house theme. That is the first time I heard Teardrop, honestly. And it didn't have Elizabeth Fraser's vocal in it. I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever heard. And then I heard the original and I was like, whoa, it has a vocal. I love them both. All right, let's pick another song. It's got to have chords, which eliminates most Nine Inch Nails songs. He likes to use a different kind of harmony that results in chords sometimes, but it's like different than being like which are all like I'm playing chords. He has like a layer, another layer, another layer, and they like make a chord. It's a good analogy for that. I don't know. Something I definitely have never broken down because we want the fresh experience. Prostitute by Guns N' Roses is like Teardrop and Porcelain having a baby. Guns N' Roses? Really? I'm having a hard time imagining that. I don't know if I can handle Axl Rose's voice right now. He's got a great rock voice, but it's very potent. I'll put it that way. Thank you, Hello Kitty. I appreciate your help. Glory Box. I actually have figured that one out before, so that wouldn't be fair. Although I'm not sure I remember, but let me just listen to it one more time, just make sure. So this one doesn't actually have chords. It's there's a bass line and a melody. I think we're going to stick to chords for this live stream, but we can do others like how to hear a bass line, how to find the melody, things like that maybe. That'd be a good suggestion for another time. It's a great song. Give me a reason to love you. I love her voice. It's so quivering. I've already analyzed 3 Libras. Sorry. Here, I'll give you the link, though. I know I'm apologizing for analyzing it. Okay. Here you go. Wow, I'm losing my voice. My goodness. I think I'm talking really, really loud. The levels between my voice and my piano are kind of off, so maybe I'll just leave one headphone off. Thanks, Luca. It's so sweet. Hey, Angus. Angus, I haven't seen you in years. Hope you're well, friend. Pink Floyd? My 45's guest picked I picked yours last. Maybe I should pick someone else's, but that is a great Pink Floyd would be great. Thanks, J.E. Thanks so much. I've seen it all. Hello. Comfortably Numb. Oh, yeah. We should do that. I was actually thinking about picking Pink Floyd before the stream started, so maybe we should do that. Okay, Comfortably Numb. You got it. Okay. I'm looking forward to figuring out the part that's like after the chorus, where it goes like da 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 da. I think those chords are going to be fun. Okay. I hope this doesn't get the stream blocked, though. It probably will.
Hello, is there anybody in there? Just not if you can hear me. Is there anyone home?
All right. So, here's our first chord. So I'm hearing the chord being created by the bass and some synths, perhaps? Synth keyboard. Who knows? It could be lots of different instruments. And then a guitar goes. It's like a slide or, yeah. All right. There are horns in there? All right, sorry. Different video. All right, so the bass. Dum, da dum. Now, I can't sing that low, so I'm going to put it up an octave. Dum, da dum. Do you hear that? Dum, da dum. Okay. Now, one thing I didn't mention about this whole root of the chord being on the bottom, the fifth of the chord being on the bottom, third of the chord, those are called inversions. So for those of you that just joined, that's when you play a chord with say like a C major chord, which is C, E, G. I play the C on the bottom. That's called root position. Put the C down in the bass. Nice. Okay. But if I reorganize the notes in the chord and maybe I'll put the C up an octave instead, then I would go just E, G, C. That doesn't change the fact, though, that the C is still the root of the chord. It's just being played on top. This is called a chord voicing. And then I could do the same thing. Take the E that's on the bottom right now and put it on the top. So it's all C major chord, but the way that I'm organizing the notes is a little bit different. When you have a bass note involved, like this, you can hear the bass going dum, dum, whatever that note was. Dum, da, dum. It's a B because I can't sing it. That's the end of my range. So. Way down low. When the bass of the band is playing the root of the chord tends to sound more stable, confident, and satisfying. Listen. Now I'm going to play the third of the chord, which is the second note in it, in the bass. Hello, that sounds different. Here's the root. Here's the third on the bottom. Now I'll put the fifth. Can you hear that when the third and the fifth or the fifth are in the bass, the chord sounds a little bit like it might want to go somewhere next. Like you're kind of asking a question. there's a little bit of like anticipation. It's not as stable sounding. That's what I mean by stable. But if I play the root, I mean, I could just end the song like that, right? But ending it like this sounds a little bit like dot, dot, dot. Whereas this sounds like period. So what I'm noticing about this is that I'm hearing the sound of a minor chord, which is a very dark sound to me. And I think the bass is playing the root because it sounds very settled, stable, and whole. Listen. It's a great way to start a song, right? You start at the beginning. You start at the bottom. You're like, dom, dom, dom. Okay. So how do I know it's a minor chord? There's a lot of notes in there, but I hear da da da. Listen, da da da. And the slide comes in. Don't worry about the slide. Even when he starts singing, he's gonna go hello, and that's one of the notes in the chord. Hello, hello. So we got hello, and then. Because I can also check. If I'm not sure, I can check the minor against the chord and the major third against the chord and see which one it is. So if it's minor, da-da, hello, darkness, right? I could use a reference. Hello, darkness. Hello, darkness. That sounds like it fits. Let me try. Oh, bloody. Oh, blah. Blah. No. No. Not major. There we go. Okay? So we start off with a B major chord. Hello. Now let's hear where it goes next. And let's pay attention to the bass especially.
Hello. Is there anybody in there? Just not if you can hear me.
All right. Can you hear the bass went down? So I went from here to here. And then right before I hit stop, it went down again. Okay. Listen.
Anybody in there?
My bad. I wanted to start a little further back. Okay.
There.
Frickin' A. All right.
Hello.
There we go.
Is there anybody in there? Just not.
So B down to A. Da, da. Hum along to it.
Is there anybody in there?
And the bass, sometimes the bass is hard to hear because it gets so low that the actual pitch gets a little harder to just parse. So this is pretty low, but I do hear da da, and then it went down again, and then I think it goes down, down. Da 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 da. And then back up to B, I think. Certainly helps if you know the song a bit, right?
Anybody in there? Just not if you can hear me.
All right. So the bass. Da, 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 da. All right. That's going to help us out. Well, again, doesn't necessarily mean that all the chords we're hearing are starting on those notes, but there is a likelihood that they are. So we can use that to our advantage and try some different things. Let's listen to the second chord now in the guitars and synths.
In there. Just
Okay. I'm getting the major chord vibe, right? It has a warmer sound to me. It has a more confident sound.
is there anybody in there?
But yeah, mostly it's a temperature thing. It just feels warm and also like emotionally warm. Like the minor chord can feel kind of severe and fragile. And the major chord to me usually feels warmer and like confident and solid and like someone's like pulling me in for a hug. Whereas being around the minor chord, which by the way I love, is there's like an insecurity to the minor chord for me and a mystery, and it's just more complex. So this is simpler.
In there.
So I can test that out if this is the bottom. Okay, so I can sing a major chord from here and see, does it fit? So I'm going to go, oh, blah, dee. Oh, blah, dee. Oh. So then from, oh, Sounds right to me. Let's check it with the music.
Hello, is there anybody in there?
There it is. And by the way, the cool thing about knowing how to play whole chords on your instrument instead of having to pick out individual notes in a chord is that it's like a shortcut. You can make assumptions about things you're hearing. You don't necessarily have to hum every single note that you hear to determine what to play. You can go, I hear a major chord, the bottom note is this, and therefore I know what the other notes are. So I can just play them. I can just go A major, done. I don't have to worry about, does it have a third, does it have a fifth? If I want to figure out exactly how they voiced it, like, then that would be different. But if I'm just trying to get the basic chords down on my instrument, I can rely on muscle memory and just basic knowledge of how a chord is built, which sometimes is just with muscle memory. Could just be a shape. It could be you thinking for a second. A major chord is a major third and a minor third. And of course, how big is a minor third versus a major third? It's based on half steps, whole steps, frets, etc. And you can learn that, and then that can be muscle memory. And then you can apply that to chords. So it'll take time, right? I mean, none of this is going to happen overnight. But I really believe everybody's capable of doing this. I don't think this is magic. I've seen a lot of people who look at other people who pick things out by ear as being like somehow magic or very talented. And I mean, I'm not saying they're not talented. They might be, but I don't think, I think everyone's capable, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't think it's magic. And I think that this is a skill that goes a lot further than learning theory rules. Because theory rules can help you when you're stuck. It can help you learn your instrument a little bit better, etc. It can give you limitations. It can give you inspiration. It can give you understanding of how something's working, but it's not going to ever replace your musicality and what you hear in your head and how you express yourself, That's more your ear. That's what I think, at least. Pattern shift. Oh, thanks so much. That's super helpful. I appreciate it. Trivia/chat homework. What chord sequence does Creep share with All I Want for Christmas Is You? Okay, you guys think about that. If you don't know any theory, you might not know what he's talking about, but there is a chord that's in a lot of Christmas music, including Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, that Radiohead uses a lot, and it's very strongly featured in Creep. Yes, yes, yes. I'll give you some time to think about it, and then I will answer. Okay. So another thing that's operating right now for me, and I mentioned this earlier, is knowing certain chord progressions. So you can't patent, copyright chord progressions. They are a common language that most songs share, and there are only so many. Like there are pretty much unlimited melodies available to you, but chord progressions don't typically move in highly complex rhythmic patterns. So that limits the amount of chord progressions that you can do. And then a lot of chord progressions do rely on the basis of major and minor chords. Not all. Jazz doesn't apply, of course, but that limits things too. And so the more chord progressions you can learn, the easier it'll be to recognize them in other songs. So I'm hearing a very classic chord progression here, which honestly, that's probably that's what I would use if I weren't doing this live stream. That's what I would use to figure this song out. I'd be like, oh, I hear 1, flat 7, flat 6, walking down to the minor 4 chord. Because, I've heard lots of songs that use that. I've used that in my own songs. And so there's muscle memory that will just kind of guide me down the keyboard. So that can be really, really helpful. And you can do ear training with chord progressions too. You can, that would be a great video, by the way. I'll write that down. I do have like a book somewhere with a bunch of Nine Inch Nails chord progressions written down. Even though he doesn't really use chord progressions, I like made them into chords. I was like, well, he has this note and this note. So if it had to be a chord, it would be that. Okay. So yeah, you can do your training on specific chord progressions. All right. So we got B minor and we got A major, and then we're going to keep going down. So now we know the next note, the bottom is going to be a G. Let's see if it's a G chord. And if it is it major? Is it minor? Is it something else?
Just nod if you can hear me.
That was the chord. I'm getting major vibes.
Nod if you can hear me.
But let's check it, right? So if you weren't sure, if you weren't getting any vibes, what would you do? You go, okay, I'm hearing that note in the bass. So what if I build a minor chord on top of this? Because maybe I don't know. Duh. Hello, darkness, mild. Okay.
Nod if you can hear me.
Hello, darkness. Hello, darkness. Wait, that doesn't fit, does it?
Nod if you can hear
Hello,
me.
darkness. Ugh. That was not good. Hello, darkness. It's not minor. It's not minor. Is it major? Oh, bloody.
Nod if you can hear
Oh,
me.
bloody. That sounded pretty good, didn't it? Fit. Oh, bloody. Sorry, this is hard to target exactly where this chord is. It's not very long.
Can hear me.
Oh, bloody. G major. Great. So we got B minor, A major, G major. Then the bass goes. And when it does that note, that's what I consider a passing tone. Meaning it's not going to be the bottom of a chord. It's just bridging the gap between two chords that have a jump between them. So literally think of walking, right? You're like, chord is, and then another chord, and you're like, duh, chord. So in that case, we don't have to worry about what's going on during this note. We just need to see what's going on when it goes duh, because I do hear different chord there. So we got
Just nod if you can hear me.
right there. Duh. Okay. This is a nice chord. So we got this note. What was it? It's an E. Okay. So let's see. Does it sound super funky and weird? No, it sounds like it could be major minor, but it also sounds like a little bit jazzy. Listen to that. It sounds slightly jazzy.
Just nod if you can hear me.
Right? A little bit of that vibe. Okay. So when I hear chords that remind me of jazz, that's my tip off that it's probably a 4-note chord. And when I say 4-note chord, I don't mean like 1, 2, 3, 4. I only just played a C, an E, and G, and another C. So they weren't 4 distinct notes. I doubled up on one of them. I'm talking about 4 distinct pitches in a chord. My first go-to is 7th chord, which is like 1, 2, 1, 3, 5, 7. It's just another third on top of the last note. Or 1, 3, 5, 7. Or 1, 3, 5, 7. Those are the 3 more popular 7th chords. They all have a different sound. That could be a good video. Sorry, I'm like, we'll do this again every week as best I can do. So, but I'm not going to worry about the 7th thing right now. I'm going to just see what about like the first 3 notes, because the 7th is a 4th note. So what about the first 3, which is going to be probably major or minor, because I don't hear that funky tritone sound. This sound. Which in the context of a chord might be, or it might be the sassy 7th or something. I don't hear that. It doesn't sound like that. It sounds smoother. Okay, so.
Just nod if you can hear me.
So let's try major. Okay, let's see. Major chord starting on this note would be oh blah dee, oh blah da. All right, so I'm going to sing that against that chord. Oh bloody. No, I don't think so.
Just nod if you can hear me.
Oh blah. Oh blah. Not major. So let's see if it's minor. Oh let's sing oh bloody again. Hello darkness mild. Hello, darkness, my You hear that? It just fit right in. Okay. So we got we got an E minor. But then I think there's a fourth note. Let's see if you can hear it. I think it's this note, but I could be wrong. I might just be making it up. Oh yeah, it's being played by something up top. I don't know what all these instruments are. Are they all guitars? They're synths? Are they horns? I feel like they're horns. I almost feel like I can hear like a slightly out of tune saxophone in the background. Okay. Do you hear this note one more time? It came over from the chord before.
Just not if you can hear me.
Yeah? Even though it's kind of a leftover, they left it there on purpose. They didn't change it. So, if I add that note on top of the E minor chord, I get... Now, how do I know what note that is? You could hunt and peck, but the easier way is to learn the sound of sevenths. So, not super easy to sing or hum, but if you practice, you'll get better and better at it. And I find the easiest way to find sevenths is less so about finding song references and more so about finding the difference between that interval and an octave. Because a seventh is pretty darn close to being an octave, which is not quite that big. There are two kinds of sevenths, a minor seventh and a major seventh. Minor sevenths sound a little bit more funky. To me, a little bit more cool, like they have sunglasses on. Smoother and not quite as tense. It's tense, but like I could hang out here for a while without feeling like stressed out. But if I play a major seventh, which is a little bigger, wow, that is pretty clashy. It would be harder for me to stay there, right? I kind of wanted to go, relief to the octave. So a major seventh, which is bigger, major means bigger, minor means smaller. Major seventh is just a half step smaller than an octave. Da, 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 which is the beginning of Fiordalise, which is a good half step. Da, 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 da. Okay. Whereas a minor seventh is a whole step smaller. So da, 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 da. Sounds kind of like severe and like Okay. So so if I'm hearing this note, I go that's that familiar tension called a minor seventh, so I know right away that's a D. Muscle memory, or you can think about the note names or whatever, however you think about it. So I think that's the chord. I think it goes, hello, sorry, is there anybody? I don't know the lyrics because I'm terrible. Isn't that nice? Then I think it goes back to B minor.
Is there anyone home?
Yep, let me go home. Haha. Yes, there is someone home, and it's the B minor chord. Thanks, Tobias. That's super helpful. Gets us closer to our goal. We're at $88.40 now. $88.40. Hey, I'm glad you're here. You don't have to play anything to appreciate music. No way, no how. We're all here because we just love music. So thanks so much. Thanks for hanging out. Hot Dog Esports. That is an excellent title. Is synthetic horns. Okay. I can dig it. Yeah, synthetic horns. Prophet 5 synthesizer making horn sounds. Okay. Nice. Wow, they sounded real because they were kind of out of tune. I played clarinet for a long time, and saxophone is also a woodwind. It's like a clarinet, just a little bigger and made of brass instead of wood. But it's the same kind of mouthpiece and everything. It works the same, and it is so easy to go out of tune with woodwinds and horns. Honestly, horn players are incredible. They only have like 3 buttons. Well, trumpet, and then don't even get me started on trombone. But yeah, they only have a few positions they can press, and the rest they change the notes with their mouths. Did you know this? They do not get the respect they deserve. That is insane. Just by changing their embouchure, they get different, I guess, harmonics or something of that one column of air. It's crazy. Planet Fatness. Thanks, friend. Look at that cute little guy. Is that like a lemon with arms? I'll take it. When life gives you a lemon with hard eyes and arms, make lemonade and give it to that little friend. But make the lemonade out of a different lemon. That's how the saying goes. Okay. Let's go to the chorus.
Come on now. I hear your feelings.
Some strings in there too.
Well, I can ease your pain, get you on your feet again.
Did I tell you the name of this chord? In case you know chord names, it's an E minor 7th chord. Did I say that? Okay, just making sure. All right. Okay, here we go.
There is no pain, you are receding.
And this repeats for a little bit. You know, have you noticed that there's a mood shift during that chorus? And it is because the chord progression from the first part is in B minor. And it's very dark, and the bass goes down, down, down. And then the chorus is in a major key. So it just feels like there's hope and beauty and simplicity. At least that's how it's always felt to me. It's still a little sad. And it's cool if you listen to, like, this is like Radiohead in a nutshell. Listen to music that's in like a major-ish key, at least, with really sad lyrics. It's almost sadder than sad-sounding music with sad lyrics. Because there's that like very realistic nuance to human emotions, right? Where things are not just black and white. There's always good in the bad and bad in the good. And anyway, so all right, let's listen to the bass.
There is no pain, you are receding. The distant ship smoke on the horizon.
All right, so those are our bass notes. How far away was this one, which is the first one, from where we last were? Maybe on the B minor chord. Okay, so this was me, and then it goes up. You can use a reference for this. This is a minor third. A good minor third reference is the beginning of "Hello, Darkness, my old friend," or blah blah blah. Is that the "What Child"? Elle gave me that one from Greensleeves. Or "What Child Is This?" What child is this? What child? So we went, da, da. Okay, so now we're on a D in the bass, and then it went, da, and then it went down. Okay, so da, 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 da. That has a very stable, wholesome sound, doesn't it? Da, da. And if I go reverse it and go, da, da, it sounds like the beginning of Star Wars. Da, 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 da. Doesn't it? Or "At last." So I know this is a fourth. Da, 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 da. And then it goes back. Da, da. Now let's listen for chord qualities. Assuming those are the roots of the chords. I hear 2 major chords. To check, we can use oblati. Oblati, oblada. Checks out. If I try to use Hello Darkness, my old friend. Hello Darkness. Hello Darkness. Hello Darkness. Sorry, let me try that again. Hello Darkness, smile. Hello Darkness, smile. Nope, not minor. Not minor at all. All right. Shortcut. 2 major chords. We've got one on D and then on A. So if you know those chords on your instrument, you're good. D major to A major, but then it does something really cool after this. Listen to the bass. Da 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 da. Okay. Da 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 da. That's a whole step, not da 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 da, which is Jaws. Dun 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 dun. Whole step. Lots of references for whole steps I can give you. If you're a Nine Inch Nails fan, Need You, Feel You from Eraser. That's all I can think of right now. There's a lot more, but doo-doo. That's a very common thing in melodies. Doo-doo. So we got then how far away is that? Does it sound like Jaws? Dun 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 dun. Does it sound like like Fear? It does. So it's a half step. So you got whole, half, whole, half, whole, half. And that leaves us on C. So we went. Sorry. Oops. Anyway, the next chord, what quality is that? So if C's on the bottom. Oh, bloody. I think so. Not hello, darkness. Hello, darkness. No. It's definitely major, right? Oh, bloody. And then the bass goes down. So hey, doesn't this sound a lot like before, but like in a different place? It's because it is. Same relationships between these 2 chords, but they just started on a different note. So you go. So that's another shortcut. You're like, hey, I recognize a pattern. Look at that. 2 major chords, both a fourth apart. Done. Don't even have to think about it. C major down to G major. Da, 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 da. Again, you can just look at your instrument. If you don't know the shape, if you play keyboard, you can learn what fourths look like. You have 2 notes in the middle. Fifths are 3 notes in the middle. So, okay, and then G major. And I think we're gonna go back to D. Back to A.
My hands felt just right to believe. Now I've got that feeling once again. I can't explain, you will not understand. This is not how I am.
Okay. I love that part, y'all. So this is going to be a little bit more complex than these other chords, which are just major and minor chords. Some other stuff going on here, I think. So this chord, to listen to the bass, goes down here. By the way, one way you can also like get yourself closer to the root of a chord is sing all the notes you're hearing, hum them, whatever. See if you can find one that just sounds more satisfying. I mentioned this a little bit earlier than the others. It's not foolproof, but this note that sounds like meaty, whereas da sounds more like breathy and airy and kind of I don't know. And then that's the note he's singing. So you can easily get fooled because it's like, well, that note feels the most satisfying because that's what he's singing. But sounds like the root, sounds like the fifth, and they can't be reversed. If you reverse those two notes, you get a fourth. And major minor chords are not built on fourths. They have fifths around them. Getting a little bit off topic. Anyway, so. But I don't necessarily hear a third. I don't necessarily hear that note, the major third note. Listen. I don't really hear it. Maybe some instrument passes by it for a moment. So, technically, this chord is kind of open. It's like an empty box. The third's missing. The third is like the contents of the box. And it's what makes things major or minor. So it just kind of sounds like the root and the fifth to me. So, and then, was it from here? Oh, I can't remember. I think it was. It went up a whole step. The bass went da, 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 da. What's a good reference for that? Da, da, in the bass. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of like rock music has that in the bass, like da, 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 da. What am I singing? What does this remind us of? Da, 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 da. Red Hot Chili Peppers? Right? Isn't there a song that does that? Oh, thanks, Matt. Sound of Silence, Obladi reference is now burned to my brain. It kind of works though, because major does tend to sound happier, and Obladi is like happiness. You will be happy. And Hello Darkness is so sad. Hello Darkness, my old friend. I should make a major version of Sound of Silence. Oh, that's a great idea. I should do that. KF71JZ. Yeah, thank you for helping me reach my goal. Glad to see you're still rocking the Honey Nut Cheerios candle. Yeah, it's right here. Yeah. I haven't burned it in a while, I'll be honest. It got a little intense. It does smell super artificial. And I got a bunch of like nice candles that I've been burning, but it'll come back. I have 4 more of them. Okay. Hey, we reached we got to the super chat go. 108.91. Thank you guys so much. All right, so that means I'm going to improvise on something. All right, well, let's finish this up. So. Did you hear the bass? It went da 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 like it did before. Okay. So we could assume that it's the same chords as before, which would have been a C major chord there. That's probably what I'd do. I go, oh, it's probably C major, and then I'd listen back and be like, is it though? It sounds to me like they maybe are voicing something called a sus chord. And a sus chord is, if you just joined, so C major, we're hearing a C major chord. C, E, G, the root, the third, the fifth. It's called that because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, skip 2, 3, skip 4, 5. I think we might be hearing this one. A sus chord is when you replace the third with the note below it or the note above it. And that makes it really crowded down here and really open up here. A second and a fourth for intervals. Or the other way around, the opposite pattern, at least on a piano, is fourth down here, second up here. I love those chords so much. So I think maybe it might be going and then nope, sorry. There we go. Oh, nope. There we go. Have become perfectly numb. Nope. Perfectly numb. Well, we'll see. I forget where it resolves. So we did the what you saying? Nice open fifth. I'm not playing the third because I don't hear it. Now I'm going to play what I think is happening, which is a sus2. But I'm going to rearrange the notes. I'm going to put the G down here. That's when I messed up, is I played this, I think. But I need to play this one. So C, D, G. Keep the C and the D, but put the G down here. Does that sound right? Let's check. I think so. Do y'all hear that? It's not this. It's got that tension. Yes. Okay. Oops. And then the bass goes dum. Did you hear that? It goes dum. Once again, we can use intervals to find that. Da, 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 down a fourth. Try to think of a reference that goes down a fourth. I don't know yet. But also, it's okay if you get in the ballpark, right? Sometimes I'm like, I think I'm hearing a fourth or a fifth because I get them mixed up a lot. So if I try a fifth, I'll go, it's not that. It's a fourth. The end, right? You can just use your powers of deduction. So, I have become comfortably numb. And then I think the bass goes down to this note. Listen. Comfortably numb. Dum, dum. Comfortably numb. Okay, so we were here. So it's the D. So go to a D chord. So we went, I've become comfortably numb. All right, I think that's the root. It sounds very stable to me. Numb. Especially since he's singing a fifth above it. It's kind of a giveaway that this is the root and he's singing the fifth. I'll do another video some other time about why that is, but it has to do with how chords are shaped, really. Now we just have to tell, is it major or minor? I think it's major, but comfortably numb. Doesn't that sound so warm and confident to you? Doesn't it sound like oh blah da and not the sound of silence? Because if it were minor, we have I have become comfortably numb. That doesn't sound warm and confident to me. That's pretty severe. But if I make this major, comfortably numb. You hear that? But let's check it. There's the root. I honestly think this is probably something I take for granted is the skill of finding the root of a chord. I think that is super, super helpful. So use your obla di, obla das, your sound of silence, and also the inversions as well, like Moonlight Sonata or Prelude in C, to just get more familiar with like where is the root at any given time. see if I can find that. Hum that thing until it just gets embedded in there. Because if I didn't know where the root was, I think I'd be pretty lost trying to build major and minor chords. Because and that's the other thing is though, you can't really use obla-di, obla-da unless you know where the root is. So catch 22, I guess. You got this though. So that's that. Just like this. I don't know if there are any other parts. I mean, there's the bridge, but I think that's. I was thinking of a different song. Sorry. Okay. I think it mostly does those same two chord. I guess we figured out 3 different chord progressions. And now we could play the song. Now we could play along. And I think I will because we reached our goal. Unless there's something else you guys want me to improvise. I'm totally open to that. Of course, since you can't like all get a consensus on a song for me to improvise on, I guess a few people have to throw out an idea and then you guys would have to like all try to pile on to one of those ideas. Yeah, Can't Stop, Chili Peppers. Dum 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 is another one of those whole step ascending up to note number 1. Da-da, da-da, and then da-da-da-da-da is another one. Jesse says like tonicization. Oh yeah, that's a fun word. It's like when you make something sound like the tonic, and I totally agree. This is a tonicizing motion. It's an arrow. So is Vaseline is what I was humming. Oh yeah, of course. One time a thing occurred to me. I'm going to do some Stone Temple Pilots listening parties on my Patreon in February. I'm so excited. I love them. I haven't heard anything they've done recently, but I mean, you know, back in the day, in the 90s, early 2000s. Pattern shift. The name sus chord hits different in 2023. Very sus. Yeah. Obla-di is root position chord, Andy. It's a root position major chord. So you get the root, third, major third, and then the 5th. Obla-di, obla-da. Whereas prelude in C is which has the 5th on the bottom, and the root in the middle, and then the 3rd on the top, exposed like an open heart. Someone asked me to play Sound of Silence in a major key. I will do this. Do you want to see my hands? Maybe I should do it. Okay. All right, let's find the key first. Duh. Did you hear that? That was the first note. Not always, but in this Okay, goes to flat 6. This is harder than I thought because all these chords have different counterparts in minor. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Because
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I'm confident on that part. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I come to. Okay.
a vision song.
Then it goes to flat 6. So in major it'd be sounds like a nursery rhyme. Oh God, sorry, I knew it was just not good in this key. Okay. This part's the same. No, I did something weird. I think it goes to the relative major in the song. So I think the song actually does go major for that. Da, 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 da. Well, that one would take a bit more thinkery than I want to do tonight. But you can at least hear the "Hello, Darkness, My Old Friend" in the major key, which sounds like this. Oh, sorry. It's not so serious anymore. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Have I done the outro to Alice in Chains' Wood? The outro of Wood. God, Wood's such a good song. I think, well, I haven't analyzed any Alice in Chains songs. I did a video on its, on the vocal harmonies. But like the whole thing, like no. Okay. Anybody have a vote for a song that I probably know? So it could be like, yeah, like a Nine Inch Nails song or, a Tool song. Oh shit, I shouldn't say that. But yeah, a Tool song, Deftones, Stone Temple Pilots, probably a good amount of David Bowie, like his singles, Radiohead. Any songs from them you want me to improvise on? It'll just take too long if I don't know the song, so I'll have to listen to the whole song. Yeah, it'll just be quicker if I already kind of know it, even if I haven't figured out the piano yet. To illustrate what? Oh, it's not. It's a reward to because you guys helped me get to my super chat goal of $100. So it's just for fun, just for your entertainment. H. It's like I know that one, but like when I hear the word, the letter H, I can't like remember what the song sounds like. But I could go listen. Creep. I already did an improv on Leaving Hope, Beguile. You can check that out. It's at the end of the Leaving Hope video. Although I do need to upload a separate video of just the improv because some people have asked for that. Teardrop Massive Attack. That's not a bad one. I mean, it's an amazing song, but I mean, it's not a bad suggestion. Sober. Ooh, that gets me excited. That could sound really cool on piano. Ooh, okay, I'm liking that. I got another vote for H. Or is it the same? Oh, it's still Michael. Okay. Chris, what are some good practice chords for beginners? On piano? Well, it might be fun to learn the intro to The Day the World Went Away, still version by Nine Inch Nails. And that might be kind of niche, but it sounds like this. It's that could be cool. I have sheet music I can send you. Let me know if that interests you and I can play it real quick with the overhead. Hopefully this video won't get blocked and you can go back and find it. Reckoner. Oh, fuck. I love that song so much. Okay, I like these suggestions. Okay, I feel most excited by Sober and Reckoner. Daydreaming. Oh. Street Spirit. Michael, I seconded it. I also firsted it, so it cancels it out. The only thing that's hard about playing Street Spirit Fade Out on piano is that the arpeggio takes up all my hands, all two of them. So it's really hard to do anything else. And there's like a lot of other stuff going on, like a melody and then the counter melody with the guitars. So I think that might be a little bit much for right now, but thanks, Clores. Okay. I think we should do Sober on piano. I really do. It's already 9:20. Okay. Yeah, we probably don't have time for more, but I'll be back. I don't know if it's going to be every Sunday. I like the idea of doing this every Sunday just because I'm going to start releasing a video every Sunday, hopefully earlier in the day. And also, this way I can start at like 3 o'clock. And this is kind of late today, but at 3 o'clock. And that way people that are like in the UK and other time zones might still be awake and could join in. So I'm thinking Sundays, but we'll see. Okay, let's do Sober. No, Sober? Why not? It's going to sound awesome on piano. It's going to sound so gritty. All right. We might have time for 2. So we'll see. D. Great. Okay. Let's brighten this up a bit. I mean, I think the piano can hack it. I mean, you know, if I had more time, I could do something better, but piano can sound pretty fucking gnarly down there. Right? Only thing it can't do is like the... I love that part with the guitar at the end. It's like screaming. I could maybe, though, you know what I would do to try to replicate that? Is I'd play the note and then I'd play a minor ninth above it, which is pretty... Okay, so... Oh, that's really hard. Okay. Like to create some dissonance. With a sustain. There's always a way. Thank you, Skeleton. Thank you. Thank you. Sober ballad. Oh, yeah. An orchestral version of Tool. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That'd be awesome. Oh, man, I'm like shaking. My favorite part of doing that, by the way, was the build up when it gets really quiet. You know, and he goes, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. Liam already has enough tension. You came to the wrong place. There's a string quartet tribute to Tool, Anatomica. Oh my God. Michael's cat is so confused. Right on. Okay. So, you guys also asked for what was it? Was it Teardrop? I mean, Teardrop's cool. Teardrop's amazing. It's one of my favorite songs ever. Oh, Reckoner. Oh no. Yeah. I have to at least try Reckoner. Okay. I think Reckoner's in the key of A, which is fantastic for me because that is a key with no sharps or flats. No black keys. Nope. Is it E? Wait. Dang it. It's okay. E minor has how many? Couple. Ah, only one sharp. All right. Hey. We like that. Okay, I have to take a second though. I was shaking. Even though I can't see any of your faces, even though, you know, the stakes are super low, any kind of performance makes me nervous. So I have the performance shakes. Especially when you're improvising and you're fucking up. But I just focus on the emotion. Oh my God. Look at that. Breaths solve almost all problems. Deep breaths, I mean. Chris asks me, what was the most difficult Nine Inch Nails song to figure out? Well, it's been a little while since my like intense Nine Inch Nails phase, which was like the first year of my channel. Probably the big come down. The verse, those chords, because the guitar is like it's like all over the place. I had to listen to a bunch of live performances and still not confident, but that was pretty hard. Figuring out the becoming piano line was a little tricky, but now I have it. In fact, I put the sheet music on my Patreon, but here's how it goes if you guys want to learn it. You can play it in multiple octaves. Like you can play it super low or you can play it like higher up, like in still. And you use two hands for it. Let's see, so If I remember it. I forgot it. Shit. And then major. Yep, okay. Or you can play it down here. Like in the version from the Downward Spiral, but slowed down, that is G, 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 G. So you got this little da 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 da. So you don't go all the way again. That's so fucking weird, guys. G, C sharp, B. And then the second time you go. Da, 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 da. This time you go to F natural instead of F sharp. That took a second. I would listen for a couple notes and I'd stop it. Be like, what was that? This was. That part took me a second. So, yeah. Hey, Sweetwater Films. Ooh, do you make films? Should we follow your channel? You go live? Cool. I guess you can't really click on people's usernames, can you? Well, feel free to drop a link. I give you permission. I'm curious. Okay. I think I've calmed down enough to try Reckoner. Oh God, I'm excited. All right. Reckoner, key of E. I just want to make sure one more time. I really thought it was A for some reason. That's E. Okay. Trying to figure out how I want to voice this shit. I think I got it. I think I got it now. All right. Oopsie. That's that one change that's a little bit weird. So sorry I had to stop that, but I really, really got lost. Okay. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, okay. All right. One last try, guys. Thank you. this definitely deserves like a proper cover. I mean, one of the things I love so much about that song is the harmony and the certain chords that they hit. So like, this one. Like I want to milk that somehow. I just like. I just would take a little more thought. And then, like that voicing is so beautiful. That is the right voicing because he has that note on top. I know I like kind of messed up the song structure, but I couldn't wait to get to this part. Anyway. Well, I'm definitely going to do an analysis video of that at some point, so I'll do a proper cover at the end of that. You have my word. My shaky hand says I will do it. I think it's one of the best Radiohead songs ever. And guess what chord's in it? You get one guess. I'll wait. Yes. Heavy. Good guess. Good guess. It's a flat 6 chord. My one true love. Speaking of, I need to go hang out with my cat and feed her and go to sleep. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much to those of you that were able to donate to my Superchat so we could have that little improv time. If you think of other like goals that would be fun for me to like do, then let me know because I'm open to it. Thank you for coming. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And hopefully I'll see you next Sunday. And I'm going to aim for like 3:30 Central. Okay? I will kiss and hug Milo for all of you. I will rub her tummy. All right. Bye, y'all.